Here we are, guys. We are live. It's matchup preview day. So, quick shout out to my Knowles. Go Knowles, top 4 team in the nation on their way to a national title. And I do have to make a quick mention to the greatest beating in the history of fantasy sports, potentially the biggest beating in any avenue ever. What I did to Jared last week when I beat him by 130 points. I don't know how Jared shows his face in public after this. That was a humiliating, vicious beating. I set a league record let me just double check so I got the number here right because it's a huge number 175.04. And then also a league record by widest margin of victory, with Jared only scoring a paltry 45.84 points. So that being said, I don't need to spend too much time on my matchup this week because I'm playing Joe's husk of a team. He's got 4 guys that are currently questionable. He's got Dalvin Cook in his lineup, who doesn't even belong on a roster in a 12-team league. Absolute disaster for Joe this week. On my side of things, of course, I've got mega studs up and down the roster. David Montgomery is dominating week in, week out. He looks like a true RB1, and not just an RB1, but an elite RB1. And so I'm going to go bold prediction. My elite RB1, David Montgomery, scores 2 more touchdowns this week. He's facing a terrible Panthers defense, and the Lions like to establish it. So Montgomery's going to dominate again. Sorry, guys. None of you have him. I have him. He's incredible. And just one more quick point. My team scored 14 touchdowns last week. And that's going to be a continued theme. My guys score tutties. They love them tutties. That's what they do. Now, next matchup. Oh, by the way, I'm going to win. I'm going to beat Joe. Not going to be much of a fight. I mean, Joe's not even putting up a fight. He's in his office right now crying his eyes out into a Kleenex because he's just scared to death of the vicious beating I'm going to lay on him. Now, we got no you lock it up versus you getting Mahomes schooled. So a battle of the Tonys. Tony Bowl 2023. Senior versus junior. Who's coming out on top, guys? I don't know. I think senior over there is feeling a little cocky, feeling a little peacockish over there. He's peacocking over there. He's saying, I beat the number 1 team. He did knock off Steve, but was Steve really the number 1 team, or was he just holding my place? It is what it is. Let's take a look. Josh Allen versus Pat Mahomes. Huge battle there at QB. In this fantasy matchup. Of course, they're not playing each other. Don't love the fact that Josh Allen has to play at 9:30 in the morning, though. That could play a factor. Joe Mixon, like I referenced in my text, he's going to smash this week. Joe Mixon at Arizona. I love it. Absolutely great matchup. Smash spot start. Puka Nacua, by the way, his downfall is being overestimated vastly. He's going to step into the Robert Woods role in that offense. That role has value. Zay Flowers, I'm going to go ahead and make my bold prediction. Zay Flowers over 100 yards and a touchdown in this game. The Steelers secondary can't guard anybody, let alone somebody of his talent level. Also, really, really like Breece Hall at Denver. They're taking him off the pitch count, taking the training wheels off. Breece Hall's going to crush it as well. So Tony's got a scary-looking roster this week. On senior side of things, really love Romeo Doubs against the Raiders. I feel like he's basically a lock for a touchdown, 60-plus yards and a score. That's happening. Justin Jefferson at home against KC. You got to love Justin Jefferson in any matchup, but especially one where they're going to have to try to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. Love it. Think he's going to have a massive game. This is actually quietly a really good matchup between senior and junior here. Khalil Herbert tonight gets Tevin Jenkins back, the best offensive lineman on the Bears. So look for him to have a big game tonight. Ramondre Stevenson, not so much against the Saints. So, who's going to win this one? I'm going to give the nod to Tony Sr. getting the nod on the back of Mahomes just going hog wild on the Vikings' non-existent defense. I'm expecting Mahomes to put up over 300 yards and 4+ touchdowns in that game. Now, we got, do I get Caleb Williams versus One Pride Mountain? I mean, sure, you can have Caleb Williams if the Bengals continue to look the way they do. You guys might get him in the draft. Who knows? The Bengals might be the worst team in football, and that's coming from a Bears fan. So, congratulations. You played yourself. Now, One Pride Mountain, who just got Joe Burrow, it's an interesting matchup here because normally I would say on paper, Brad wins this one in a boat race. But he's got some tough matchups. Kamara at New England. And by the way, Kamara is just as washed as I thought he was. Set an NFL record, 13 receptions for only 33 yards. Those are the kind of numbers you would expect out of Joe if he was playing running back. That is insanely bad, guys. And the Saints got to see that he's cooked. I can't imagine he continues to be just a workhorse in that offense when Jamal Williams comes back. But regardless, Kamara sucks, and he's in a bad matchup. A guy that does not suck is Christian McCaffrey, but he's playing Dallas. So I'm not expecting another 40+ point explosion. CeeDee Lamb actually really liked the matchup with the Niners. I think that they're going to have to throw, and I think that, when they throw, they go CeeDee. So I think he's going to have a good week. Devon, I don't care what he calls himself. I'm calling him A-Chain because it rhymes with A-Train. So that's what he's getting called. A-Chain smash spot start against the Giants. And, of course, Terry McLaurin is going to abuse the Bears because everybody abuses the Bears. On Jason's side of things, love Lamar Jackson at Pitt. Ayuk against Dallas. Again, you're probably going to have to throw a little more than usual against Dallas. I don't think they'll be able to just hand it to McCaffrey over and over again. Brian Robinson will, of course, abuse the Bears because why? Everybody abuses the Bears. Now, Zach Moss, not really playable. With Taylor back, I think you're going to see Jason maybe throw in Michael Wilson, who's a great spot start against his shitty Bengals. Bold prediction, Jamar Chase, now that he's off of my team, going for $150 and 2 touchdowns this week. En route to Jason pulling off the upset, getting his first dub of the season and knocking off Brad. So knocking him off of the gay mountain, which is what I assume One Pride Mountain means. Now, Max Fab versus Commander-in-Chiefs. And for Christ's sake, Trey, can you at least field a roster? This is embarrassing. I vouched for you and put you in this league, and this is the kind of bullshit effort you're going to give me. This is crap. Get it together. Put your team together. You're embarrassing me out there. Now, somehow this disaster of a terrible manager is in second place. It's not going to continue, though, and that starts this week. You got CJ Stroud, great matchup with the Falcons, and he's been dominant so far, putting up 17 points plus every week. I think Stroud has another fantastic game here. Love me some Amon-Ra if he suits up against Carolina, because I just think the Lions are going to beat the shit out of them. My bold prediction on Steve's side of things, James Conner goes ham on the Bengals. I'm talking $130 and 2+ touchdowns, maybe even 3. James Conner is going to crush it. There's really no point in discussing Trey's team. I mean, I'm not going to put any effort into analysis on his team when he's not even putting any effort into running his team. So who's going to win this matchup? Steve, and it's not going to be close. Steve is going to beat the crap out of Trey. Congratulations, Trey. That is the first time I've ever picked Steve in one of these videos. He's getting the win. You're getting the loss. That's all there is to it. Now, we got Reese versus Jared. Now, this one is interesting. I find it interesting that Reese continues to roll with Trevor Lawrence. I love that he still has faith in him. But, should he have faith in him? Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because this is the week in London. The Bills had to travel. They didn't. They've been waiting there. They're going to be prepared. The Bills aren't. I think Lawrence gets off the schneid this week with his first really big game of the year. Chris Olave is nowhere near as good as you thought he was. That's all there is to it. You know, everybody that was falling all over Chris Olave, you're a dope. He's not that good. Devonta Smith should have a pretty good week. I feel like, you know, at this point, it's his turn. A.J. Brown has dominated 2 weeks in a row. That usually means it's a Devonta Smith week coming up. Bold prediction on Reese's side of things. Bijan Robinson is going to smash his first career 200-yard rushing game. You heard it here. 200-plus yards on the ground for Bijan Robinson. On Jared's side of things, man, that Tua Tyreek stack is going to smack this week. They're playing the pitiful Giants. I'm expecting a huge game there from the stack. Love me some Tanky Dell. Starting Dameon Pierce and Tank Dell at the same time, though. You really have that much faith in the Texans? I don't know about that. Aaron Jones Monday night. Love to see it. I think he'll have a big game against the Raiders. So who's going to win this one? Oh, and by the way, the Chicago Bears are going to bitch slap your defense tonight because that's what happens. I don't know if you forgot what happened all during fantasy baseball. You kept trying to stream pitchers against the Cubs. They kept giving you like -6. That's what's happening here. You don't do well against Chicago, dude. You need to stop messing with those guys. The Bears are going to beat the shit out of your defense en route to Reese getting the W. That's right. I can't. All right, never mind. Reese isn't actually going to win. All right, Reese is going to lose because Tua and Tyreek are going to go ham. I still stand behind Washington's defense getting pitch slapped, though. And that's all I have for you guys this week. I will see you for the match previews next week after I get done murdering Joe. Bye.